We have our bump out up top, so I wanted to get a bump out on the bottom to match that, and I want this granite to step out and go back around when they put it on the top. So this is going to go even, step out here for a bump out, and then come back. This one's square, so what I do is I set it in place just even with this stile, right with the back of the stile. I have it flush with that. Then I'll take and pre-drill my screws on the side of the stile, clamp it, and run my screws in here and tighten it up. Then I take a skin, a piece of paneling. In this case I can use a toe kick because the toe kick is 4.5 inches, and I just rip it down to compensate for this step down and a step down from your stile on the other cabinet. You remember your stile steps over a 1/4 inch, so now this has to be a 1/2 inch wider than this. I stick it on the back so you don't have a space behind there that you can lose trash in, or it really doesn't look very good if you have openings back there. So you put this in here. Now the cabinet is going to sit right back to here, and this stile, the stile on the next cabinet is going to sit right with the front of this, so it actually steps up 3 inches. I know what this mark is, but I want to get from here to here, so I'm going to have to go ahead and take my level set on here and get a perfect line marking point from this. This is pretty simple now because I had everything lined up where all I had to do was slide the cabinet in. Of course, taking this post out makes it a lot easier to fit it. Now, I'll slide it in place. It's already perfectly level. And I'm going to put a clamp on the top right here. You treat this just like you would a cabinet to cabinet. I'm going to take this stile, I'm going to put a screw through this stile into the side of the post right here. Make sure when you put your pilot hole that you put it away from the screws that hold the face in. I have a screw right here that comes through, and I don't want to put my drill hole there. Just pay attention to where you're drilling. And be very careful when you go into the face of this post. You don't want to mess up one of these, they get pretty pricey. Now I'll just pull my bottom out a little bit, get it in the exact position it needs to go in, and I'll clamp this one. This one's a little bit harder to clamp because you can't clamp it down here because I can't get my nail hole or my pilot hole right here if my clamp's there. So I'm going to put it up, and it's going to have to go against the round part of the post. Be real careful with that. Make sure you use clamps with the rubber on them. You see how I'm putting this pilot on an angle going downward? That's what I said before. You want to go down because you don't want it to come out the top here where it's going to show. And we'll just snug it right up. I ripped a little block to put back here, and this is going to really make sure that it's all locked in. This is ready for a pop-in box. The wire's long enough, we're going to pull it out, put a shallow pop-in box, and put it back on there. Down here you can see all of this is lined up perfectly. That's why it's so important to measure off the top, not the bottom. It's a good idea to take a little piece of plywood if you have it. You can set it on top of your base cabinets. Make sure you put a couple of screws to secure it, and then you can stand on this when you're putting your doors back on instead of leaning over like I do. I'm used to it, but it always helps too when you're going to put your crown on. If you have a walkboard right here, it's much easier to put that crown. So if you have a piece of plywood, set it down on here, run a couple screws in it. Make sure you have your ladder there too, but you get up on it and you can move around a little bit to get your crown in place. A lot of people make mistakes on light rail molding. You have plenty of meat right here to put your screws or nails in from the stile because it's 3/4 of an inch thick. On the sides you only have a 1/2 inch, and especially with particle board cabinets, you never want to try to nail into that because it's just going to blow out. It's going to split up. So I cut my strips, 3/4 inch thick strips, and I'll cut them to fit in here. I pre-drill them and I run screws right on up here, and that will give me something to shoot my nails into when I put my light rail molding on here. You can shoot 1.25 inch nail into there, but I prefer to use screws because I can take this back off anytime I want and put backsplash on this wall, and then I can trim this and slip it back in place. When you go to cut this light rail molding, you're going to want this piece right here to set exactly on the edge right here. So I'll get my flat cut and then I'll pull my measurement, and in this case we were 22 1/16. Now you use a square, and you'll take this square and you mark it right up to here and go past it, because this curve, this is where your line's gonna go. That's where your cut is. Now this is an outside cut, so I want to go right to this edge right here where this curves all the way. So you bring it right to there and you line that up with your square. When I cut to that point right there, then I'm going to have my exact mark. Now that it's lined up on my mark, I'll line my blade up with it. And you make a nice clean cut. Next, I'll take the light rail molding, set it up on the cabinet, and I'll get my clamp together. I'll take my pin nailer and just tack it in. Once I have this tacked in the way I want it, I'll come back and put my screws or nails that I need. And I'll get it in the groove. I don't like to see any nails on a job, if I can help it. With all of this clamped, I pre-drill up under here, and I'm going to run my screws through here, and all of this will be locked in. I like to take my light rail molding and set up underneath the refrigerator cabinet. That will keep a nice face on here to match the others, and also you won't see the underside of the cabinet. So when I put this on here, I'm going to have to take this edge right here, and that's where it's going to butt up against the inside of this. So I set it up against here, and I'm going to cut just a little half piece right here. This is a return. I'm going to show you how to do that by the saw. When you go to cap this side, you're going to want to take and cut it right here. This is the only part that's going to stick out in the face. So you cut this back off. Start off with this miter cut, and then you just cut this back off of it, right here. So I'll set it upside down. That way it's easy to make this cut right here. All it is a straight cut. But you have to be really careful with it. Cut it real slow, because your blade's going into the face, outside of the face, and it can splinter this if you cut it too fast. This is a really small and delicate piece, so I'll put glue on here. I'll hold it on the edge real carefully, and I'm just going to tack it in with a pin nailer. Once that dries, it'll be plenty strong enough. Be careful you don't shoot your fingers with it. Tack it in, and you can see the end.